And the idea of dousing yourself in urine so that the animals don't pick up on your human scent, I think it's intriguing. I've also heard that if you slather yourself in either Aqua Velva or Genite, it'll attract deer that are over 70. Few artists have received more flack than the foursome known as Nickelback. At this point, one of the hookers got hit in the head with a golf ball. She's unconscious. I said, let's just play through. After the bomb of his third TV show, Mr. Coleman was reduced to performing at children's birthday parties. His entertainment company, What You Blowing Out Candles For, Willis, makes appearances from time to time.
This is the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast.
Episode 8. All right.
So mosquitoes have been horrible this year.
Yeah.
I think the last interview you did, you were like visibly scratching your ankles. I had to give blood today, just the routine blood work.
Yeah.
And I said to the girl, I think the mosquitoes have more of my blood than you guys do.
That's a good one, yeah.
Yeah.
I would have to agree with you. Yeah. Yeah, you've been quite targeted this year.
It's like literally, we go outside at night. It's like I found this orange spray that I think one of the kids gave me years ago. And it's like supposed to be an orange perfume. Actually works pretty well if you don't want to smell like golf, which really doesn't smell.
After you get done subscribing and hitting the little bell, drop us a comment on what to do with mosquito bites. What's your personal remedy?
Also, ironically enough, I noticed in a past show that it looked like we had product placement here for another seltzer company.
We do not.
It was not intentional. So for all parties concerned, we have blocked out this seltzer will remain unknown and unnamed.
If you have a seltzer company and you'd like to sponsor the show, we will drink the shit out of it. So just hit us up in the DMs.
And we won't even go MacGyver on the duct tape.
No. Yeah. Yeah. That sound could be yours.
This is the non-alcoholic kind. I don't know why they've decided to put seltzer in the skinny cans, like the non-alcoholic seltzer.
I love non-alcoholic seltzer. I love it. I drink it all day long. But every time I try to drink alcoholic seltzer, it's like they put 5 pounds of sugar in it. I don't know why. If I could find one that tasted like this, that had alcohol in it, I'd go for it.
Probably.
For a while, I was even like pouring a little vodka into this stuff. Even that wasn't as good. So I just stick with beer, Hey, did you see the Steph Curry thing?
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
I mean, he's a good basketball player and all that stuff. But if I pay to see Paramore, I think I'd rather have Haley singing than him grabbing the mic and blabbering away, It would be like when I went to go see Mastodon in the early 2000s, I wasn't sitting there hoping that Joe Flacco would jump up on stage and sing Mastodon songs. It's just not meant to be.
It might be worth it for about 2 to 3 seconds for somebody,
Flacco's favorite. No way.
You should never let that guy do.
Jay Flacco-Lucius? I loved him. Oh, now, in other music news, are you ready for this?
Yep.
New albums from both Dokken and Winger this year.
I saw him advertising.
Winger came out in May, and then Dokken just came out.
Yeah, Winger actually just put out a music video
because,
he's MTV.
Who is this marketed to? I mean, it's one thing. I understand the retro crowd. I understand the guy with the beer gut that goes to see, Dokken because he remembers, 1986. He remembers Tooth and Nail, and he's nostalgic and all that stuff. But who wants to hear new stuff? Like who wants to hear new Winger? What's the point?
I don't know.
Just do the Kiss thing, they know nobody wants to hear new shit. Just keep cranking out the hits. That's all anybody wants to see that paid their money to see. That Dokken video is sad. He's like sitting down for half of it. He looks kind of sickly to me. I don't know. He's rocking the In My Dreams hat.
Oh God. Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe there's an audience that might want new stuff, but
new music from Dokken, really? Okay.
They're creatives. They probably got the itch.
I guess. So, well, anyway, I never got to be anybody's best man, wedding wise.
Yeah.
And it's a little sad because I always thought I would be really good at giving the speech.
Oh God.
Like an epic speech. I was hoping that one of my buddies would get married and give me the job, or my brother and then I could just talk because I was related. It would be like this. It would be like, I'm reminded of the time that Dave and I went to Austin together. You remember that, Dave? Remember how expensive bail was?
God.
And just start this long tale. At this point, one of the hookers got hit in the head with a golf ball. She's unconscious. I said, let's just play through. More time goes through. That's when we realized there was no way we were going to find a Romanian translator at 2:00 in the morning.
It sounds like The Hangover.
On and on and on. Then she goes, the key to the handcuffs is in my other purse. Oh, fuck. On and on and on. Turns out we made quite an impression on the bikers. They made us honorary members, and the monkey luckily wasn't harmed at all. Meanwhile, the entire front row is asleep by the time I get the glasses off. So I guess that's why, I never got the gig. Who came up with the tinkling on the glass thing? Some kind of weird Morse code, perverted Morse code or something?
It's actually originated as a custom back when, there were demons and everything, we thought. Of course, there must be spirits or demons in your spirits. So,
At the wedding?
well, the idea was if you bang on the glass, it would scare the demons away. So apparently, if you do this, no devil will come out when the whiskey goes in.
See what you did there. Okay. Yeah.
Who would have thought that we needed an exorcism before each toast? Apparently, there were just a lot of demons just running amok and biding their time, hiding, fermenting.
I think the demons still made it to our ex's weddings. Yeah. So not many people know this, but if you clang 2 coffee cups together at the wedding, the bride has to take a tit out. Yeah. True story.
Well, I think that if you use 2 napkin rings, everyone has to do an impromptu electric slide down the fire escape. It's a fact.
I wouldn't
Look
like
it up.
that. I wouldn't like that. Yeah. I think that Beauty and the Beast theme should be used more often in weddings because today she's a beauty. 4 years from now, she looks like Sam Kinison. Yeah. And who doesn't want enchanting opera singing candelabra at a wedding? I mean, I think it just fits so perfectly.
And a chipped cup.
Yeah, well, you had an idea about it too. I mean, moderator.
I always thought it would be great to have a moderator or someone come in that does trivia at a bar,
Mhm.
and it would be kind of that trivia style competitive contest about the couple. It would be questions they'd have to write it down, and it would be competitive for prizes. Mark kissed Stace first on the A, forehead, B, the lips, C, her little toe, D, the veranda.
Who doesn't start with a little toe? Right to the second date.
So you're stampeding to the little toe?
Stampede, if you will, to the little toe. So, switching gears for a moment. All right, Baltimore is pretty close to the PA border, if you think about it, right? And nobody in Baltimore gives a shit about hunting. But as soon as you get close to the PA border or over the PA border, hunting season becomes a big deal. Like here, it's like a fond Bugs Bunny memory. Like nobody cares about hunting. I'll tell you what, you get up there, it's a BFD. I never was interested in it, probably because I remember when I was a boy, I saw this video of Ted Nugent on TV. It was like on UHF channel or something. He was explaining how to skin a buck. It was just blood and flies everywhere. I think it was called like Motor City Meathead or something. It was just totally turned me off, the whole thing. The guy I bought the house from, my old house, was a big time deer hunter. He had the one room had 20 deer heads on the wall because 20 heads are better than one, I guess.
Oh, God.
The guy had 3 full-size meat freezers in the basement. And here's the funny part. We talked to his wife. His wife's a vegetarian.
Oh my God.
Who's eating all this shit,
How did they even get together?
And the idea of dousing yourself in urine so that the animals don't pick up on your human scent, I think it's intriguing. I've also heard that if you slather yourself in either aqua velva or Genete, it'll attract deer that are over 70. Fun fact.
I remember that Genete bit. Remember the commercial where they were
My mom wore that shit.
The woman was basically slapping it all over herself. So I
Yeah.
thought it was a good idea to go in my mom's bathroom and try that commercial method.
Yeah.
Entire bathroom reeked of Gina the say, I think, for the next 3 years because I splashed it everywhere.
So I looked it up, and if you do take down a buck, Those fucking things weigh between 150 and 300 pounds.
Oh my
Then you got to
God.
drag it out of the woods, and it could be miles through the woods. I mean, that's almost like having to drag the hefty guy at Golden Corral away from the soft serve.
It's probably easier to boat a marlin.
Yeah.
God, could you imagine? And all the uneven terrain and rocks and limbs and stuff. Oh, that's horrible. And then think about it. Once you get back to your vehicle with this, are you going to shove this bleeding monstrosity in the trunk with the spare tire? Or are you going to give yourself a groin pull trying to get it onto the roof? That way, everyone on the highway knows not to mess with the sedan with the corpse tied to it.
There are much better activities to get a groin pull from. I was looking up some hunting terms. A button buck is a fawn with little bumps, antlers less than 3 inches long.
Please don't shoot them.
A fork buck has forked tines on each side of its head. And then, of course, there's the much rarer breeds, like the cocaine spoon buck, and of course, the cookie cutter buck, but they all look the same. Okay, you want to talk about a feature interview today?
Our feature interview this week is with the beautiful and talented Erica Stolz of the New York City metal trio Sanhedrin. We had so much fun talking to Erica about everything from touring to working with Colin Marsden to signing with great labels like Metal Blade and Cruz del Sur, as well as her connections to the New York rock and roll aristocracy. So definitely stick around for that.
Okay, so let's play a song. This is Riding on the Dawn.
This one gets stuck in my head. I love it.
Hey, let's talk about Patreon. I'm going to introduce to you something that I worked hard on. It's our new phone graphic. So I guess I'll have it show up right here. Bloopers and outtakes, bonus reviews, Stacy's recipe and gardening tips, and general wackiness. So get over to patreon.com/Snaggletooth podcasts, and you'll be able to scroll through all such madness. This week's bonus reviews were, here, I'll grab them for you. Let's see. All right, so for bonus content this week, I've been attacking the 7 inches. So I reviewed this 2007 album from Tyvek called Summer Burns. It's actually a double 7-inch. This one, check that out, Frustration.
Wow.
You think this doesn't kick ass? I'll tell you what. And then for next week's show, I'm going to be doing a review of a hardcore band from Seattle called Nudes, their 2013 EP Sister, and the Vivian Girls 2008 EP from In the Red called I Can't Stay. Are these records any good? I actually have no idea. So you'll have to go to patreon.com/Snaggletooth podcast to find out for yourself.
And also remember that your membership is important to us creators. It helps us keep going here and keeps it from being Mark's and Stace's expensive hobby. When I think we make the show better every week. We've added new features. Our Instagrams are out there with other bonus content if you would like just a little bit of bonus content for free. Also, remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons. It means a lot to us. We ask questions of our audience all the time, like what should my hair color be, and other scintillating things. So you're going to want to get it on that vote. So also, we do ask about your favorite bands, and we do use that for feedback. So make sure you like and subscribe so we can connect better with you.
Very good. Yeah. So let's talk. I've decided to change Snaggletrip. Death to Snaggletrip.
Yeah.
Snaggletrip is no more. This feature is now called Escapement from the Basement. Very proud of it.
All right. So different title, but same content.
Yes.
This week we have a great one with Dave Alima, the owner of the Charmery. This is Baltimore's coolest ice cream shop. No pun intended. He gives us the scoop. More puns.
Yeah.
See what he did there?
More pun.
On the shop's core concept, achieving happiness through ice cream, and how he came up with luscious flavors like Telltale Chocolate and Old Bay Caramel.
Yum.
So here we go. Escapement from the Basement.
We are at the Charmery with Dave Alima, the owner. And Dave, let's start off with how long have you been in this splendid location?
So this is our ice cream factory. This is where we make all the ice cream, and we have a retail front too.
Okay.
This I think has been, I want to say 4 years,
Okay.
5 years, and we just celebrated our 10th anniversary of the Charmery this couple of weekends ago. So
I saw that. It looked like it looked like it went over really well.
oh, it's so fun.
I love the 2 turntables and an ice cream cone.
Uh-huh,
What was that? What was that?
That's our all ages dance party.
Okay.
Sometimes we do it in this space as well.
Okay.
Do you
Great.
DJ?
No, we get real professional DJs.
Oh, cool.
I would just have a Spotify playlist. But no, we get like actual DJs, and they do like visuals. It's awesome.
That is great. Yeah.
So, what inspired you to get into the ice cream business?
Sure. So, 10 years. I mean, our whole lives. I feel like I guess the real answer is I met my wife Laura, and we met each other like between my freshman and sophomore year of college, and she always dreamed of opening something. It was a peanut butter factory when she was younger, and went to school for hotel restaurant management, and I started making ice cream in college and just a little Cuisinart, and we just fell in love with the art of ice cream and what it does to a community, how it brings people together. So yeah.
What about who came up with the name The Charmery?
That's a debate we have. I clearly remember it being me, and she very distinctly remembers it being her. So I'll just say it was her.
Mm.
Or it was a group effort?
That's
Group
a wise.
effort, I like that.
That's a wise man right
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
So I noticed your tagline was happiness through ice cream. So how can we achieve that nirvana?
It is sort of this, like, I think of it as a Zen moment, and like that's kind of what ice cream is all about, is like, especially a flavor. Well, you know what, some people, like, I always say, like, I got mad love for my vanilla people, the people who come in and are just like, I'm sorry, I just like vanilla. I'm like, you never be sorry about liking vanilla. Like I don't know what it is, but like we were doing a film shoot today, and I was holding this cone. I was like, I'm just gonna give it a shot, and I tried it, and I was just like, entered that happiness through ice cream spot. I was like, this flavor is so good. Ice cream is just so delightful and delicious, and there's all these people around you, and if the music is good and the energy is good, you wait in line for 20 minutes, and then you're tasting different flavors. Just like, it makes you happy.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I noticed it said you had 7 always flavors.
Yes.
So is that the generic?
Well, never generic.
Nothing's
Please,
generic.
come on now. No, but those are, like, I like to describe them as like our take on traditional ice cream flavors. So
Okay, yeah.
while we get to like experiment and have fun, I still want to have the best pure vanilla. We do a dark chocolate that we call Telltale Chocolate. Our take on mint chip, on chocolate chip. So I want people to be able to come here and not be like, oh, that's the place with all those weird ice creams. Yes, but also, whatever your delight is, I want to have it for you.
Your website says that you traveled around the world for R&D. Like, talk about that. Like, what is that? Where did you go and what did you learn?
When I started making ice cream, then whenever we would go somewhere, we would seek out the best ice cream shops. Laura and I, instead of doing a honeymoon, we did like a pre-wedding trip to Southeast Asia.
Oh, wow.
And I remember hitting that happiness ice cream moment. There was like a popsicle, an ice cream popsicle in Vietnam that was sticky rice.
Okay.
I was just like, I never knew ice cream could be this. So it was this kind of slow building, and like I would see that like the gathering of the community that happens, like ice cream shop. You want to go to a community and get a good feel for it. It's like go to like a dive bar and an ice cream shop. That's when you'll actually see the people who are around.
Yeah, we did a show on strange snacks from around the world. I think it was Vietnam. They had the blood rice cake on a stick,
Yeah,
where it was
really
like
good.
some kind of blood on the rice, and then
I'll
it's
stick with-
basically a bloody Rice Krispie treat.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
it sounds
so-
like a good ice cream.
I've loved your local flavors, like, you know, of course, I guess Telltale is Edgar
Mhm.
Allan Poe
Right.
flavors,
Right.
and Maryland Mud and the Caramel Old Bay sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever come to you with a request or a section or like
Ideas.
an idea that turned into a flavor?
You know, all the time, but more so like so a large part of what we do is collaboration. So we drop a new flavor every single week. And part of because of that, what's great is like we can do these collaborations we've done them with musicians, with chefs, photographers, poets, anyone who is a creative. We're able to like create an ice cream together, and there's a nonprofit component to that. They pick the nonprofit, and a portion of the flavor gets donated to the nonprofit of their choice. So through that, we've been able to create some ice creams, and I'll just say like based upon what you eat on the road or like what you remember as a kid growing up, like we create ice creams together. If they want local products, absolutely. We've had local bakers and stuff come work with us, so absolutely.
Who are some of the local farmers that you work with? I saw that you deal with local farmers.
Yeah, well, the biggest is South Mountain. They're one of our dairy suppliers.
Okay.
But anytime, like, it's not even like I'll go to the farmer's market and I'll be like, I need to make sure I bring some cash with me because I like to buy stuff for ice cream there. So whatever I see that looks good and is local, absolutely buy local mint. Local for our mint, some of our mint flavors use backyard mint, fruits and peaches and strawberries sometimes, whatever we can get our hands on.
Yeah. Well, we're being a music show. I caught the peaches and regalia right away, and what we went to PMA, the Bad Brains.
Yeah.
So which one of you is the music?
Well, so our theme for the 10th anniversary was like musical legends of the DMV. Before making ice cream, one of my jobs was I did tour management and marketing for a reggae record label out in California.
Well,
So
What a perfect guest for the show. Really, this couldn't be better. Yeah.
let's go. So music is I was never talented in making music, but music is so important to me. So I always felt like I wanted to be able to support the people making music, the people doing art,
That's great.
photographers, all these beautiful creatives in the world that I get to like now through ice cream help promote. And it used to be through tour management, which is a terrible, horrible, thankless job.
Yeah, I can tell you're a lot more happy about
I'm
this
so happy.
than you were. Yeah.
Tour management was very hard, but I was happy to do it.
Yeah.
what's on your repeat list on Spotify right now?
Well, I listen to a lot of reggae music. I've been listening to a lot of Turnstile. I've been listening to. I have this thing this year, where the thing I missed most over COVID was going to see live music, and as a father with 2 kids, like it's been hard to get to see music. So I like sat my wife down and I was like, I want to see 30 shows this year.
Oh, wow.
I was like, that's my goal. Not 30 they don't all have to be like going to Merriweather. Some are like local,
Yeah.
So very proud to say I'm at 36 right now.
Oh, look
So,
at you. That's great.
seeing music is always a huge part of like what brings me joy in life. So
Yeah, it's great. The music, just the live scene came roaring back after COVID. It's great. We were worried that it was never going to come back. But
it's amazing.
it's stronger than ever. It really is great. Everybody's going out.
The band that I kind of worked with the most in California is a band called Groundation, and I just thinking about them and over COVID, like how are they gonna survive?
Right.
Like, tours they would get tours and then the tours would be canceled, and then like they would have to do a show and no one could be around each other, and it's just like what kind of music is that? Like music is about joyfully being with other people. So
it was crazy. I remember during COVID reading, like in the later days of it, big name bands that that people have heard of, that we've used up all our unemployment money. It was just like, wow.
Some of
Right.
them were
What's
smart
gonna
and
happen?
went to streaming.
Yep.
At least you could, request tips or help them
yeah,
out.
I went to a couple of the drive-in shows. They had like basically you would be in your car and the space next to your car. It was kind of glorious. I kind of miss those.
So I was admiring you guys have a great merch line, not unlike a rock band.
Yeah.
I think some of my favorites were the sprinkle turntable. Again, back to music, right?
Yeah.
Our
Cushion.
turntable mat, yeah.
And then the air freshener that smells, makes your car smell like ice cream. That says
It's
smell like code.
It's like a waffle cone scented, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a bestseller on the merch, or is it all pretty much? I think it's a great idea.
We've kind of like slacked a little on merch. When we first started, I was like, our designer was one of my really, really good friends, and like I would be like, could you just make me this? And he'd be like, yes. And he would like take it from my head and make it even better. Now we sell a lot of stickers and pins and keychains, but I want to bring shirts back. Shirts are hard because of the sizing and everything.
Yeah.
But I want to bring back limited shirts. We do some hats too, and we just try to keep things weird and fresh with some different stuff.
I like the onesies too. For the
Yeah,
babies.
yeah,
Oh my God.
The baby
Cute idea.
onesie.
Yeah.
So I really was thinking about all the extra things you do as well, as far as like the retail. You also do parties. You will bring ice cream socials to people.
Yeah, for sure. It's we do like a little catering setup. We don't have like an ice cream truck we scoop out of, but we like have these cold Crocs boxes that keep everything cold. And we do scoops for that. We do ice cream sandwiches. Come to your town, wherever you are. Let's go. Let's set up an ice cream party, ice cream social for the office.
Do you have a typical demographic, or is it all ages?
That's the thing about ice cream is it's like, when I say it brings a community together, it's like, so I'll look at our shop sometimes. I'll just be so happy. It's like all these people from all different neighborhoods and sides of Baltimore and Maryland and DC area now, and it's just like behind the cabinet and then working with us, and then also like coming to visit. It's like a beautiful thing. That's what's great about it.
And you also have vegan flavors, right?
Absolutely. We have 2 vegan flavors at all times. We do one rotating sorbet and one rotating like coconut milk based.
2 out of my 3 are vegan.
Yep.
My kids, so I don't know if I got hippies, but I did.
It's good. Whatever, as long we can make everyone happy here. That's what's great.
Yeah. You're probably a little younger than me, but have you been in Baltimore your whole life?
I started and I've so far ended.
Okay, yeah.
In the middle, I explored.
When we were kids, there was a place called Farrell's. I don't know if you ever. It was. They couldn't have it today. They basically put a trough, like a pig's trough, in front of us, filled it with ice cream, and we all just fed.
And they put like sparklers
That's awesome.
in it.
And somebody came by beating a drum. Remember that?
Yeah.
Like, there was a guy beating a drum. It's very patchy because of the sugar seizure that I had.
One of my early memories of ice cream is my father won in an auction an all-you-can-eat ice cream. It was from a place called Dave and Daryl's, which was in the what was it? It's like what's that strip mall off the Think Pink? It was like this pink strip mall. I don't think it's pink anymore. It had like Ross in it, and it was this like diner that had this great ice cream program. And I remember just going there and being like, what? And I could eat like a scoop and a half maybe, but it was just the dream of it all.
Yeah, the idea that
It was amazing.
it's all I want. Yeah.
I remember seeing at Bacara's downtown that they have an all-you-can-eat dessert night for like $12.99, and I feel like saying, how many?
How many cannoli? And I love cannolis. Becara's has the best cannolis, but I think I could do like 2. And at that point, I think I'd be better off just buying 2.
Right.
But it's the joy of like knowing if I want a cookie too, if I want that cookie.
I'd be like, "Hun, stick these in your purse. Come on, get out. Yeah. We gotta get our money's worth out of it."
with like a Ziploc bag. Just,
Exactly right.
oh, these cannolis are great.
We came prepared. So this has been great. Yeah. So
Really
we'll
awesome.
take some pictures of this
Cool
cool environment that
Got
we're in
all
here.
kinds of neat, iconic guys. And
Yeah, definitely.
Action
What's
figures.
the vehicle? What is?
That vehicle, we always dreamed that it could deliver ice cream, and then it never made it up hills.
Okay.
I still think that one day we could turn it into something with like an electric motor,
Okay.
but for now it's just like for kids to kind of climb on.
Did you just see it and buy it?
Uh-huh.
You thought you could? Okay, gotcha.
And then I put some money into like decking it out a little bit, and then I forgot to see if it could go up hills. This was 10 years ago. Since then, how much joy has it brought people just sitting
That's
here?
great.
It's fine. I've made up for it.
You have the most unique delivery map. Everything's low level. You can't do hills. No, we can't deliver to you, sir. You're on an incline.
I need your topography map before I can agree to deliver.
How fun was that? You see the look in his eye when he started talking about some of those flavors and happiness through ice cream. I mean, the man is passionate.
They come up with new flavors like every week.
I really like 2 turntables and an ice cream cone. I think that's awesome. Yeah. And he knew our girl over at Lovely Yarns.
Yep. Small world over
yes.
there in Hamden area.
And it's always great when Escapement is down the street from a nice bar, because then you and I can go and have a drink and celebrate our latest conquest, which we did. So I think that picture's up on Instagram too.
Yes.
The post-Escapement drink. Yeah. Okay, well, let's talk about birthdays a little bit. Isn't it funny how our birthday expectations change from kind of phase to phase, year to year? So, all right, first 3 to 4 years is like the cake smashing era. We really don't know it's our birthday. It's just there, and there's a lot of people who smell weird trying to kiss you, right? Maybe 5 to 12 becomes kind of our biggest day of the year. These are the years of the bouncy house rentals and sugar overdoses. And it's an amazing day full of happy meal toys and sugar till we throw up. May or may not be in the bouncy house throwing up. Actually, just not fun to clean. So then you get to the real era of the birthday, 12 to 16. The gift requests get a little more grandiose, especially these days. Superhero themed parties at the Extreme Martial Arts Theater, swimming pools of M&Ms at the Hollywood Bowl, video game tournaments on the Goodyear blimp. I mean, money is no object.
I know with my boys, it became super expensive gaming consoles that will be considered obsolete in 6 months. Because it was always some new game on a different platform.
Of course, yeah.
What you could play on one, like PlayStation, you couldn't play on GameCube. So you had to get 2.
Couldn't you rent it, though? I thought the game rental.
There were certain games that would only play on certain platforms. It was a mess, and then, plus, the online thing where they're up all night with their friends, Call of Duty. But it just, and then come the designer stuff when they start having to want, super swanky shoes, that have some weird little marketing quirk, like, pump it up. Remember that one? You pumped it up instead of tying them. It's just another thing.
There was a guy in a band. I want to say it was Trey from Morbid Angel. He got so hooked on the game Doom. He would come into a town and he would immediately find an internet cafe and he would just stay there the whole time until they kicked him out. And then he would kind of half-ass the show. And then the next morning he was up at the internet cafe again to play Doom. I think that was Trey from Morbid Angel went through it. Just pure addiction. Yeah. So anyway, getting back to the birthday era. So between I'd say, I don't know, 18 to 25, it just becomes an excuse to go out with our friends and get hammered. I mean, really, that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah, I've seen people now, they put up on social media a QR code where you can buy them a drink for their birthday. Do you believe this shit?
It's not a bad
So
idea.
over the internet, they can just buy you a drink.
I like it. I think it's a good idea. All right. And then from 25 to 70 is a big block of just don't bring it up. Okay. And there's always somebody at work going, hey, somebody's a year older today. Thanks for remembering, jackass. I hate it. So
it's always that Jim Gaffigan's bullshit. I have to do laundry on my birthday.
Oh God. And then when you get maybe 70 plus, we go back to not knowing it's our birthday again. Interesting. We come full circle. Parties become your kids' opportunity to kind of wheel you around and check out the furniture that they're going to grab when you have a massive stroke.
You might be back to cake smashing at this
point.
Back to
cake smashing. See, it's the circle of life. It's beautiful. Some people celebrate their pets' birthdays. Have you met these lunatics?
And these people are certifiable.
Absolutely. Why don't you just give your appliances names and send them on vacation? You could say, today is Mr. Toasty's 500th slice of toast. We're sending him to Virginia Beach. He's totally wired for the trip.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How horrible. Chewy sends us, almost feeds into this. They send our animals birthday cards.
Right in the trash.
I'm like, oh, look, sorry, I forgot your birthday. And then I do nothing, because
right in the trash. Yeah.
It's supposed to make a tuna fish.
People do. People do.
Nuts.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to go
freaking lunatic
out of my way for a cat whose hobbies include napping and sniffing butts.
pretty much it.
Every day is their birthday. Every day is a special day. They always get their way. They always dominate our lives. Forget it.
What was it? One of the only things my father ever said that I thought was brilliant was, I said, Father's Day, Mother's Day, when's Kids Day? And he goes, that's every other day. Right off the bat. I was like, wow, I get it.
I do get them Christmas presents, which usually involves, maybe a toy and something edible, but that's it.
You ever notice there's this weird kind of expectation that you're supposed to eat cake on your birthday, regardless of dietary concerns? You ever get one of those frozen ice cream cakes? You need like a sawzall to cut the fucking thing. You're like diamond tipped sawzall blade.
Yeah.
It's like cutting into a frozen glacier,
I tried to get around that one time by trying to get it out early, before we gathered everyone to sing so it would thaw. And by the time we gathered everyone and got the candles lit, the roses on top started melting down the side of the cake, leaving red trails of red and green. And it kind of looked like a horror show at that point.
I did even worse. When I worked at Hub, I put one on top of the refrigerator where there was heat and forgot about it.
Oh my God.
It was a pile of mush. And it was somebody's birthday.
Oh, fuck.
And that was not good. I was not my best day, I'll tell you.
I lost my keys like that.
In a cake?
I was busy putting someone's frozen ice cream cake away. And the next morning I couldn't find my keys.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked everywhere and I thought, okay, I didn't go anywhere last night. I know I drove home. What did you do when you got home? I'm like, I put the cake away in the freezer. Open up the freezer. There's my car keys.
It's funny. Do women still pop out of cakes? That was kind of a 70s, 80s Hugh Hefner kind of thing,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Like, how long did she have to wait in there? And my question is, wasn't it obvious when the cake's as big as a jacuzzi what was going to happen? Or that you needed a motorized vehicle to bring it into the place? I mean, I think we knew what was going to happen.
That or they thought, oh, we're going to be taking home a lot of cake.
I wonder if there were women that were really good at it that had to get other employment. And they said things like, yeah, I had to start picking up shifts at the restaurant when the popping out of a cake industry went soft.
Yeah. Apparently, if you're going to go by the rate they paid you to pop out of a cake in the 50s was $50. That's about $217, says the Google machine in today's world. So maybe you could double book your cake, or have, cake jumping twins. And I don't know if you'd have to split it or pay double. Nah, no, wait, never mind. That's too much like a double Nick'em or something.
Yeah. Lots of people do bar crawls for their birthday.
Mm-hmm.
If you're the type of person that wants to get drunk and make a fool of yourself in multiple locations on the same night, this is an efficient process. I guess it's called a crawl for a reason.
Not called a hop.
Wasn't kids' birthday parties always a cliche for the ultimate downfall career? I remember this. After the bomb of his third TV show, Mr. Coleman was reduced to performing at children's birthday parties. His entertainment company, What You Blowing Out Candles For, Willis, makes appearances from time to time. Then in a further downfall, he had his own reality TV show, and it was called Ask Me If I'm a Kid Again.
Oh, God.
All right. I think we've taken the birthday thing as far as we can. So again, switching gears, there is a new Nickelback documentary coming out this month. And this is a music show, I heard, through the grapevine. Allegedly. The trailer's up on YouTube. And when I watched the trailer, I felt inspired at a Seussical level.
Uh-oh.
So here we go. You know you love it, people. Sometimes it can be surprising what makes a band so polarizing. Few artists have received more flack than the foursome known as Nickelback. It wasn't all that long ago they were always on the radio. Whatever they touched, it turned to gold. Over 50 million albums sold. But the internet can be quite cruel. The boys were labeled rather uncool. Achieving all their hopes and dreams resulted in some brutal memes. Hate to Love is their new documentary, a title hardly complimentary. They're an easy target to attack, but there are worse things in life than Nickelback. Who wants to pay to see the farce of Motley Crue without McMars? Mustaine just isn't any fun, blabbing on about Jesus and Dave Ellefson. It seems now only rich retirees can afford Ticketmaster's exorbitant fees. And free speech is important, my friend, but goddamn, can we keep Adam Lambert off Instagram? Journey has fallen so far since the 80s, squabbling on Blabbermouth like a bunch of old ladies. Plus, I would rather dry shave my cock than hear another word from Sebastian Bach. So dissing Canadians might be entertaining, but I encourage you to stop the complaining. Give the Nickelback bashing a rest. Would you rather read tweets from Kanye West? Nailed it. Thank you. Thank you.
No, it's sometimes I think the metal equivalent is Five Finger Death Punch. Everybody seems to love to hate them.
I think they're awesome.
Yeah,
The
I don't
guitar player's
understand it.
amazing. The singer's great. Every song is about like middle finger in the air. Oh, fuck the people. I think
I'm
they're
under
great.
and over it.
Let's play a song. This is Sanhedrin for the Wicked. Okay, let's talk about Hum Nutrition.
Everyone knows Hum Nutritionals are a great sponsor to this show. They are products that Mark and I,
Not a sponsor.
not a sponsor, these guys are. We use their products every day. I know you've heard about me talking about our favorites. I just wanted to highlight two today. This is called Hum Raw Beauty. Now this, you put a scoop or two in your smoothie. I always put this in our smoothies. And this is Tahitian vanilla. They also have chocolate and chocolate chip mint. I like the berry because I usually make my smoothies with fruit, but I guess it could work with chocolate chip. But this gives you energy, radiant skin, and boost your metabolism with raw greens and enzymes and probiotics. So really is a great product. If you don't like kale, here's your powdered kale answer. You will never taste it. Believe me, he would let me know if I tasted it.
Kale sucks, Ron.
My other favorite is called Collagen Pop. This you dissolve. I usually do half a tab in water. It kind of dissolves like Alka-Seltzer, so you don't need to shake or stir it. It kind of does a fizziness on its own. And then you get all your collagen and vitamin C boost for super healthy skin and less fine lines and wrinkles, and help with your ligaments staying nice and healthy. So these are my two featured products from Hum this week. Use our link. You can get over and save $20 off your first order.
Hey, show off your Static X shirt.
Oh,
Check this out.
We went to see them this
Keep
year.
Disco Evil. Isn't that great? It just occurred to me they might not be able to see that.
Had
Yeah.
to have it. I had to have it. Although I bought it from the band website, not the venue.
Ah.
Oh, yeah.
For Collectorbation this week, I'm just going to start off by saying, I can't believe it, okay? My honeymoon night, okay? I will probably only have 3 or 4 more of these in my whole entire lifetime. Yes, this week's Collectorbation is David Lee Roth's colossal 1986 album, Eat 'Em and Smile.
Undeterred by his departure from Van Halen, Roth opens up a new 3-ring circus in 1986. Originally designed as the soundtrack to his movie debut, Eat 'Em and Smile, it's a Technicolor stereo explosion encompassing everything from Jungle War paint to Sinatra, from lounge rock to coconuts.
Our lips are so close.
All his videos were so epic.
Mm-hmm.
No wonder the movie.
Former Zappa guitar prodigy Steve Vai packs every song with endless diddling at ridiculous velocities. Forsaking the roaring bottom end of Van Halen classics for show-busy guitar tech nonsense, it's definitely subject to the supergroup syndrome, with Greg Bissonette doing his best Alex Van Halen imitation on drums and Billy Sheehan's whirring bass lines floating squarely in the mix.
Unfortunately, Roth's blockbuster movie never came to pass. Probably blew all the budget on those videos.
My doctor says I have to take a laxative. Not the Meister, you don't.
However, the album proved to be his most appealing goofy venture since Diver Down. Sure, I bash the album now, but when it comes on, it brings back memories of summertime and bad decisions. The horn arrangements in That's Life and I'm Easy still make me laugh.
And lyrics like, how to keep things moving until my personality starts improving. What the hell is that? So
Pure poetry.
plus, I kept my drugs in this record. I'm just going to come right out and say it. This is where they were all the time. My brother never found it.
Oh my God.
I kept tabs of acid in there, even a couple of smaller buds, pills. This was where I hid my drugs. So it'll always be near and dear to me. So let's play Yankee Rose. Okay. Enough of our yakking. I'm going to read you something else from the Book of Roth, which I have around here somewhere.
A reading from the Book of Roth.
I'll read from the Book of Roth. All right, get out your hymnals. Okay. This is after he's out of the band. I started snooping around, saw a videotape with Steve Vai in it. He had been working with Frank Zappa, had a wealth of information in terms of the School of Music approach, which is very different from my learning in the local cantina and having to make a living at it. He looked pretty cool on the video, so I made an effort and got in touch with him. See, there's always a story. He can't just say, I called him up and said, you want to join the band?
No.
Here's the story. Actually, after a police raid at the local 01 gallery, an after-hour spot where I was a partner. We got busted every 3 months. There's supposedly no after hours in LA. We ran into each other out on the sidewalk while the sun was coming up. We commenced writing songs. That's how you always meet band members. Composed most of what became Eat 'em and Smile, which had nothing to do with Van Halen. Metaphysically, it was a time of conflict. It's aggressive. Okay, makes sense in the rearview mirror. But at the time, all it was to me was the idea from a book of old labels from old fruit crates from the 20s and 30s. Eat 'em and Smile was a label made for watermelons, and it pictured a little kid holding up a great big half a watermelon with a big bite missing out of it. You could just laser copy that right onto my gravestone. I ate it and smiled. Made perfect sense. We wrote songs in the basement, took a few months to come up with a dozen tunes, went to the studio, recorded it in fairly short order. There you go. So that is a little bit about the making of Eat 'em and Smile. And let's play one of my favorite songs. God, this song sounds like ZZ Top. This is Ladies' Night in Buffalo. Okay, why don't we introduce the interview with Erica?
We had a great chat with Erica. We kind of did it in reverse. We actually saw her first and then we interviewed her, but it worked out perfectly. I was so impressed when we saw them when they were playing with Traveler and Savage Master. She killed it. And then, once I got into Lights On, man, does those songs stick in your head. So we have a great talk with her about that album, all kinds of stuff, actually.
She is a rock goddess.
So here's our interview with the lovely Erica Stolz. Oh, I was just looking over my notes and I inadvertently typed you did something in the year 223 and we were cracking up. I was like, well, that explains Sanhedrin. And how was Lilith back then?
Were you friends with John the Baptist?
Well,
yeah.
I definitely think that I probably have lived a lot of lives.
Yeah.
So it might have happened.
Could be possible.
Could be.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, yeah, that's a little typo there. Excuse me.
Yeah. Sorry, you said that you need reminders. I'm a reminder-aholic, so I hope I didn't overdo
Oh,
it.
I'm really glad that you're a reminder-aholic. I need that. Yeah.
Sometimes the PR people will be like, Mark, you don't need to keep reminding me. And I'm like, sorry, it's OCD.
No, for me, it's very helpful because I'm a freelance worker and my schedule is constantly changing. So, and I really don't have, I don't know how I made it this far because I don't have a great way of putting it all together. I have a calendar. And I write everything on my calendar, so I guess that works.
Yeah, we're famous for accidentally scheduling something on the same day. So of course we did that today.
Yeah,
Oh, what did you double book?
For the show? We do
Featured small businesses.
Small businesses, right? So we were like 30 miles away about an hour ago at a playground for autistic children.
Oh, neat.
And yeah, so and they have sensory equipment and all kinds of stuff.
Right, yeah, all kinds of.
And I was like looking at the clock, and I'm like, we got to be 30 miles away.
So that's part of the podcast, then, and they're a Baltimore
right
area thing. Cool.
Yeah, so we like to combine like heavy metal with. Like we did
yarn.
We did a show from a yarn store. We did a show from
Love it.
An urban garden. Yeah, it was great.
We went to a selfie museum, which
That's
if you
right.
haven't been, you should go.
Oh yeah. Every room is for selfies. It's great.
You can be in a big pit of Oreos if you like. You can be in a bathtub full of money, take pictures.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, here's Larry. He's saying hi.
Ah, hi, Larry.
Yeah,
How many cats do you have?
2.
Two. Okay.
Yeah,
4.
that lady over here. Yeah.
they're always inserting themselves, it seems like.
Oh yeah, especially
Larry.
like Larry's the lap cat for sure.
What's your other cat?
My other cat's Mo, and he's like a Heidi cat. He's my undercover lover.
Oh, okay.
He's a secret lover.
Yeah.
People don't even believe he exists because he's very like stuff.
All righty. So, barring the fact I think you were not around in 223.
223.
So when I had to look up Sanhedrin, but it was the Jewish tribunal that cast judgment on Jesus, sending him to Pontius Pilate. Very metal. So where did you come across this name, and what inspired you to pick it?
The name, it just came up after a couple of times we were jamming and we were like, yeah, okay, this seems like a band. And then Jeremy just kind of said, I'd always thought Sanhedrin was a cool name. And Jeremy is like, I guess a recovering Catholic. I don't know how.
So am I.
So am I.
We all actually both.
Yeah. So
so
he's got some knowledge of biblical stuff. And then, me and Nate are sort of New York Jews who never practiced religion. You know what I mean? So we were like, okay, cool. And it's funny because the name has come to really like kind of reflect the way that we do business as a band, which is funny. Like we're very much a consensus-based organization.
A tribunal of sorts.
A tribunal of sorts, if you will. Yes. Definitely.
I was really admiring you. When we saw you play, I know Mark struggles with playing and singing. Did you find it difficult to learn to do both at the same time?
I think it probably was, but now, since I've been doing it for so long, like particularly bass playing and singing at the same time, it is second nature. And it's also one of those things where sometimes I can't figure the vocals out unless I'm playing bass.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
Or sometimes I have to be singing to remember the bass line. It's weird, but it was something I picked up after being just singer front person for a while and kind of feeling like I wanted to have more to interact with on stage. Like maybe my front person game wasn't that great without a guitar, or maybe, I don't know. So I started playing bass, and then that was like maybe 25 years ago.
Oh, wow.
I didn't start when I was young. I started when I was in my early 20s. So I had already been in bands as a singer.
We had John on the show, John Cobbett, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and we talked about you a little bit. So, and I wanted to ask you, what can you talk about the Unholy Cadaver stuff and what you were in San Francisco, but then you moved to New York? Like, what all happened there?
Well, me and John and Chewy and Mike were really sort of conceiving what became The Bastard by Hammers of Misfortune for a while before it actually happened, and that's actually a really good example of the bass playing singing thing being really hard, because that bass playing and that singing was particularly demanding, and I didn't have my metal chops together at the time, so it really helped me build chops.
Right.
But ultimately I was kind of like, I think my friend Janice would be better at this than I am. Janice Tanaka, who went on to play for like L7 and Pink and, do Femme Fatale, I think she was in. So she's like a really high-end player, and she has a beautiful voice, and she's friends with all those guys kind of in the family. So I was like, Janice, you should do this, because this is really hard. And I was also in a couple other bands at the time. I was playing with a band called Lost Goat, and that was my real, like my band. It was a 3-piece as well. And then I was also playing with a band called Amber Asylum. So there were just, it just seemed like the right thing to do. So we played one show as Unholy Cadaver, and I didn't even know that it had been released as an album. That time in my life is sort of vague to me. It's occasionally a head scratcher, but I was like, whoa, I don't think I played on it. I'm not even sure. Maybe I
He's
sang.
got you listed on the credits for it.
Okay, maybe I did play it.
Maybe I did. That's such a
It's
Janis
fucked up,
that's a
right?
Janis Joplin kind of thing to say. I play on it. Maybe I did play it.
Yeah, I don't remember. I think maybe I did.
Yeah, I noticed, like, if you look at your credits back over the years, that was one of the few it was listed as vocals first, then bass, and everything after that it's bass first, then vocals. I was like, oh, wonder why that's what.
I've
How did you end up in New York, though? I mean, you were out there, right?
Well, yeah, I grew up in New York. So I
Okay.
was born and raised in Brooklyn, and then I moved out there when I was in my late teens and stayed until my early 30s. So that's, I kind of grew up in both places in a way.
Yeah.
Nothing.
If you're used to New York honesty, you don't get that out there. You don't get that. There's just a certain personality type in New York.
I'm like, I'm just saying what I think,
Here's your thing, right? Yeah.
It was appreciated by some. It was definitely one of those things where I had to translate, myself. So
Yeah. Well, hey, on the East Coast, if we're late, we actually tell you, hey, we're going to be late, or we have a reason. I used to get on the West Coast. People would just be like, yeah, sorry, I flaked. That's why I'm an hour late.
that's
You
crazy.
don't even have a reason.
Yeah.
What the hell's going on?
Yeah, no, yeah. No, there were definitely times where I was the flaky one. I had to, correct that when I got a union job here in New York. I was like,
union job.
Yeah. The only thing you can do is be late to get fired. I mean, that's really the biggest infraction you could possibly commit.
What was your union job?
I still have it. I'm a union stagehand. So I work for I work for IATSE, and I do live theater and live events.
Oh, that's cool. So everything you do is related to performance. That's great.
Yeah, it always has been.
That's great.
Except when I was a line cook. But yeah, I've always been, God, I remember this guy from a band called Bomb out in San Francisco. He goes, gosh, you decided to do something lucrative in the entertainment business. And I was like, yeah, I guess so. But it's an ass-busting job, definitely. Like, I spent my 30s just working.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So do you have a lot of guitars, and do you have a favorite one?
Well, I mean, I do have a few basses now, but I'd have to say my favorite one is right here, and I'll show you guys.
Ah,
This is my P bass that I got, oh gosh, 1992, maybe. Yeah. And I got it at this place called the Starving Musician in San Jose. And I just love this bass. I mean, this thing sings like nothing else. And for a while, I was taking it and playing it at shows and stuff. And then I realized, shit, man, if I lost this thing, because it's not quite as old as I am, but it's up there,
Yeah.
Definitely. It's from
You don't want to take that on the
77.
road. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to take it on the road anymore. So my bandmates, sweet as they are, they sort of crowdfunded me a new American P bass with rosewood neck, which is something that, at this point, this is what this bass has, or fretboard rather. And I don't know, like for some reason I had bought a Mexican P bass and it sounded great, except that the set screws in the bridge kept fucking backing out on me, like while I was playing, like the
Wow.
vibrations were fucking with the action, man. It was crazy. It was the first European tour we had ever done. And there were a couple of songs where there were like, there's a note that I have to like ring out, and I'm like, I swear to God, that note is there, but nobody can hear it because it's fucking muted because the action's fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've changed though. Like when I was in the 90s, you didn't buy like guitars made in Japan because they were junk, but now all the stuff's good, it's like even the cheap stuff is good,
Well, yeah, I mean, definitely. It's one of those things where I think, as with most things in life, there were like golden eras in work environments and on assembly lines and specific crews that really knew what the fuck they were doing.
Right.
So that's why you have certain years that are sought after now
for certain models.
and certain models. I am not the guitar like freak that my guitarist is. For
right.
Jeremy, I think he has like 11 electric guitars and a bunch
like a
of
disease. I know.
Yeah. So for me, it's a little bit more of a utilitarian thing, like I probably have 4 basses that are.
I know 2 songs on the bass, and I learned them sarcastically because when I was in college, there was this kid that used to play Rush and Duran Duran, and he made the funniest faces when he was playing. So I learned Red Barchetta and some Duran Duran song on the bass just so I could make fun of this guy. So
bass is really a thing, and I've been guilty of it, and I'm like, oh damn, like I realized that it might be kind of hard to photograph me while I'm playing.
No, I didn't see any bass face with you. You were metal priestess the whole time. It was great. Yeah.
But there's definitely like some photographs I get where I'm like, oh wow. Kind of like when your screen freezes and you're like, or whatever.
Right. I know what you mean. Yeah.
But I do it a lot when I'm singing. Mouth, my face.
I know when we were talking to Jean Paul from Clutch, he was talking about how older drums have a better sound, and I didn't get it until he kind of explained. It's almost like the music that's been played on them has almost seasoned them. Do you
like the wood?
Do you agree with that kind of sentiment? I was like, wow, I never thought about that.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, like there's a moment where I think like unplayed instruments are sad, and they want to be played, right? So there's that. And then I think with wood, the older it gets, like, you know how wood gets petrified eventually? Well, the older it gets, the harder it gets, right? So the more resonant it becomes. So there's like that, definitely. I think that colors sound for sure. But then there's the idea that, there's all these people that have played it through the years, and there's this sort of, quantum vibe thing going on.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. This friend of mine one time, he told me, he said, no, you don't want to be in a band. You want to be the guy selling the guitars. He goes, because think about how much more money he makes. Think about all the people that buy guitars that never play them. That's where you want to be. And I said, that's the most depressing thing I've ever heard. That's terrible.
Yeah, I dated a guy that worked at a guitar store for a while, and it was one of those things where he talked a lot about the extremely high end of sale prices for things. I mean, I guess, there are the Jay Leno's and the Conan O'Briens of the world, right? I mean, does Jay Leno collect guitars? No, he collects cars. But Conan O'Brien collects guitars. Yeah. So there are people, and then there's like all of the blues lawyers.
Right.
That's a thing. So
yeah.
Probably the best stock goes to people that don't really play that much.
I had an American-made Telecaster, and I used to like brag to everybody about it and how much I love playing it. It didn't sound any different than the one I had that was made in Mexico. I couldn't tell the difference.
Too. I mean, I think it has a lot to do with the player, right? But I will say that when I had that experience with the Mexican P-Bass, I was really bummed because every day I had to set my fucking guitar up, basically. Because it was
that's a mess. Of course, when you're on tour.
I ended up throwing Loctite in the holes because I was like, fuck it, what am I gonna do? But
anyway.
So I think Mark's favorite album is A Funeral for the World.
It's my favorite.
Yeah. You like
the first album.
Collateral Damage, don't you?
Collateral Damage, No Religion. I like this. Yeah. But that was the first album that where is it? Colin Marston. How did you hook up with him? He is in a million projects.
Yeah, Colin is I think he did tracking for Black Anvil, which is Jeremy's other band.
Okay, yeah.
And he was recommended because of that. And he's the shit. I mean, you go into his home and he has this understanding of the sweet spots and as with regards to mic placement, because it's his home and because he does this in the same environment all the time, right? And he also has just a really sort of friendly way of working. He's funny as fuck. Yeah, we get along really well.
That's fine.
I feel lucky to have been able to work with him.
Yeah, he's produced all your stuff, right? Or mixed it or engineered it?
Thus far, he's done everything. Mixed. The only thing he hasn't done is mastered it. We've been using somebody.
Yeah, his production list is like a mile long.
It's great. And I am very happy for him. He's also like an incredible musician himself. So it's
he's in so many bands.
Totally.
I think my favorite, Lights On wins by a nose, but The Poisoner's really, really close. So what do you think has evolved and stayed the same in the writing process to produce such a continuous heavy metal classic sound that is still your own?
Well, did you always want to be a trio? I want to ask you that. Did you ever want to have a second guitar player or no?
No.
You wanted that
I
That-
am of
that-
the mind that it's just
And Motorhead,
see.
what James
Yeah,
said.
but it wasn't even the sound. It was really just like more people, more problems. Kind of. It's easier to gain momentum when you have one less life to coordinate, in my mind anyway. And then we were so quick in the writing process together, like the three of us. And I think for Jeremy, the guitar player, it's really this interesting puzzle of playing rhythm and lead and then doing solos. So I think for him, it's like
great. I mean, the fact that you can play the bass, it opens up so many things he can do.
Yeah.
And like the ZZ Top, where there's so much going on with the bass and the guitar, and it's not all just everything galloping all the time. And then I love the way he plays those arpeggios that just jangle out, and then he goes into the solo, and then you kind of hold everything down. It's great.
Yeah, he described it. I thought he had it perfect as Dio-esque with the driving like Vivian Campbell style jangle.
I told you that at the show, and you said, "Tell him
I think
be
Jeremy would very much appreciate that. I think, I mean, we are, students of the old school for sure. But that is by far not what we steep ourselves in recreationally. You know what I mean? Like, I think we all listen to different shit all the time.
Right.
There was a while where I wasn't listening to metal at all. I was working, doing sound at a bar in San Francisco, and for about 5 years, I was doing metal constantly as a sound person.
Okay.
And I probably took about a decade off of like deep metal listening. After that, I would still mix metal, but but it wasn't my go-to, like in the car,
But you probably discovered all kinds of new stuff, though, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, and it's cool to be coming back into exploring it now.
Yeah.
Because I think, I mean,
what kind of stuff were you into?
Well, I ended up listening to a lot of blues and a lot of soul, like Solomon Burke, and I got into that label Fat Possum. They do a lot of stuff like Junior Kimbrough and I don't know, just stuff. Buddy Guy.
The real blues, yeah.
I was working at a blues club doing sound. So I worked at BB King Blues Club in Times Square. So I ended up really seeing a lot of good blues and kind of deep studying that stuff as well, and then I got to do sound for like Eartha Kitt and all these different Aretha Franklin. I mean, there was just so many different performers where I was so lucky to be in their presence and be working with them. And then as a performer myself, just kind of taking it all in, taking.
I really like the themes in Lights On because you addressed so many modern issues like the pandemic and the DC Capitol invasion, and police brutalities, everything that's kind of on CNN. What inspired a lot of the topics for you that were written about?
Probably being isolated in a weird bubble where all I sort of knew, except for, well, let me back this up. I stayed for most of the pandemic in a cabin that I have up in a place called Ellenville, New York, which is a couple hours out of the city, northwest, right? And so I'm up there and I'm just watching like Mario Cuomo, or not Mario Cuomo, Jesus. What the other guy? Who was this? I forget what the guy's name. Do you remember
I
what
know.
the
I can't remember the name. I know who you're talking about though. Yeah.
yeah, the guy who got thrown out of
Right.
his
Right.
governorship for being a fucking handsy dude,
Right.
whatever that guy's name was. Anyway, that guy was like president of the United States. He was like US Papa for a minute because he kept doing these 12 p.m. News conferences about COVID and like giving all these dad jokes and just kind of, being real sort of everything's going to be all right, kind of matter of fact and whatever. And I'm sitting up there. And I think it probably was just the fact that that I was seeing it all through the eyes of the media. You know what I mean? But I think typically like my lyrics are probably about like a third what I see out there in the world and a third like autobiographical and a third just kind of like rock and roll stuff or cool stuff, you know what I mean? Scythian women just sort of like entered a fourth category, which is sort of history metal. So yeah.
Yeah, I really love that you threw that one in there because it shifts gears kind of from modern problems to this Russian archaeological dig. And I love the lyrics when you wrote, mothers teach daughters go for the kill to build the strength, aim, and the skill, taking no prisoners, traveling the light, the wind on their backs as they ride to the fight. And I was thinking, you could almost maybe apply this almost like in a Me Too, almost, not that people should be.
I think is like Christianity has, or whatever, not just Christianity, but the advent of like monotheistic religious situations has really taken the light off of what women are as human beings in a way. We're not just baby making things, and so when I saw that, I was like, God, this dig and these four skeletons have so much to say to us, you know what I mean? And I thought it was worth the song for sure.
Yeah, I was all upset. I was watching that show, the Viking show, and they had the what was it, the battle maidens? No, the shield maidens.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I thought, what cool, but when I Googled it, it was all made up. There's no evidence that there were any. So I'm so glad women like this.
I mean, look, there was like Joan of Arc. Listen, yeah. My feeling is that we were probably like around a lot more than it's been stated. You know what I mean?
Whether kept off the record
or just support or anything, but the idea of femininity as it is in 2023 is really wild. I mean, I just saw the Barbie movie and I really liked it. I enjoyed it. It really spoke to my feelings about like American femininity in particular, and why, like, because I'm half French, so I grew up kind of going to France and seeing how people acted over there with regards to not necessarily gender specifically, but like sexuality and stuff. Like people were way more open, like people would take their clothes off more. It was just different, and then over here we're very like, cloistered. And so I found the Barbie movie to be really entertaining. And I'm glad that stuff gets to be said out, at large.
Did you see The Handmaid's Tale at all? The series?
Yeah. And I read the book, and I mean, it's scary, right? Because I feel like what might be happening, I mean, I hear there's a lot of like infertility and, it's a real like diminishment in people having babies. I don't even know if that's a word, but you know, the idea of procreation is sort of shifting. The baby boomers are dying,
Right.
and
The
so
millennials don't want to have kids.
millet.
Right.
Well, can you blame them? I mean, really?
Right. I
But-
know. What are we going to say? Well,
Yeah, I mean,
I don't really have a reason to talk you out of it.
exactly. And frankly, you know, if we weren't so xenophobic, it wouldn't be a problem because there's plenty of people who want to work, you know. It's just creating policy that allows that to happen. You know what I mean? And,
Oh, every
and
now and then I see something scary in the news and I'm like, Handmaid's Tale, here we go.
That show scared me more than The Walking Dead. I mean, that
Well, yeah.
scene where they ride because they're what is it? Gender criminals? or
Oh,
whatever?
they were gender offenders.
Gender whatever.
Oh,
And
yeah,
ride
'cause-
together in the van, and then they make her watch her hang. They
Horrible.
hang her right in front of her. That's one of the
That's
one of the
awful.
saddest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, but I mean, think you know, think about kids in Ohio right now and that whole thing that they're trying to do with keeping the Ohio Constitution intact. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy because I remember being a teenager and doing things like protecting abortion clinics in the 80s when there was a spate of shootings and doctors were getting killed. And now it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of turned on its head. It's sort of like, oh, you know, now it's policy. Now we just aren't going to allow that. But I mean, I think it's probably really important that people that are into music and like-minded ideas help each other expand that circle, you know, because I think with heavy metal, it's kind of interesting that, you know, we have some brothers and sisters that maybe are on a different extreme end, you know what I'm saying? And like, especially in America, like I am not about cutting off people that are like not like me, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
My thing is like, let's talk, you know. Definitely. I mean, I just spent a month in a tour bus with some folks who had really different ideas from me, and it was cool. You know, we didn't not get along. As a matter of fact, we built like love, and I think that's what prevents you from wanting to jump down somebody else's throat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering, like the title "Lights On," is that kind of like, you know, look at this, pay attention to this?
Well, yeah, I mean, it started off because when we wrote the song Lights On, Jeremy just kind of named it Lights On because he thought it reminded him of Lights Off. Or no, Lights Out, rather.
What, UFO? UFO? Like
yeah.
Okay.
And then I mean, the making of that record for our band was the beginning of a really different way of operating, because we had prior to that with the Poisoner and
Funeral for the World.
we were all in the same town, and then everybody kind of moved to different places during the pandemic. And so I think it was, well, I don't know where I was going with that, but at any rate, it was the beginning of a different era for us, you know, doubling down on the commitment to each other and to the band, because the distance really didn't seem to stop the creative process, which I found really
Good.
interesting,
Yeah.
frankly,
Good.
you know? Yeah. But if you send me some cool tracks that I can like create a cool bass line and a vocal line to, you know, let's go. I'll do that all day long. You know, I love that stuff. So
So, all right. So the first album was independent, right? And then you guys hooked up with Cruz del Sur. How did that happen?
well, it was interesting. We put the 300 records out there in the world. That was our independent pressing. And then we started getting a lot of emails from Germany and a lot of purchases on Bandcamp from Germany. And at the time, Bandcamp was really cool, you know. And they were doing, I think, a lot, whatever, the algorithms were working for us.
Right.
So we got some attention from a magazine called Deaf Forever, which is like a glossy print. It's one of a few over there that are still like really kind of the you know, the go-to rags
Right.
for rock and roll and heavy metal.
Right.
And I think it was those guys that introduced us to Cruz del Sur. Yeah. And then from there, Cruz del Sur was able to help us get some festival gigs, and we started touring over there.
They got a lot of great bands on that label. He's
Oh,
got really good taste.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Enrico is the boss, the main dude over there, and he has great taste, and he has a killer team of people that work for him, really dedicated. And you know, it's really nice to work with a small business that like loves what they do.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, we used to get review packets from Cruz del Sur, and we would like fight over them. We'd be like, no, because we knew that all the bands were going to be good, you know. And there were other labels where we would be like, no, I don't. You take it. I don't want it. And then you ended up on Metal Blade. How did that happen?
So after we were on, you know, I don't really know how that happened. I think it was a friend of Jeremy's through a friend of Jeremy's, a guy named Ula. We were able to get a demo to them, and Metal Blade Germany was interested, and then Metal Blade US said, okay.
That had to feel good though. I'm on Metal Blade.
Oh,
How awesome did that feel?
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, and I've put out records on some cool labels. Like I got in the 90s, I got to put something out on Alternative Tentacles and Man's Ruin when that was a thing, TP Records. But this was something where I had collected Metal Blade titles from when I was really young. So for me, it was like, wow. And I think for all of us, because we've all been metalheads since we were, you know.
Yeah, the run that they had in the 80s with, you know, Trouble and, you know, Voivod, and just, it was just one after another. It was so great. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And they are still really kind of dedicated to the art form in just really cool ways. So
yeah, I read his book. The first, he's got a couple books, but the first one, he talks about like that he would want to put an album out, and his like staff would say, it's commercially not viable. We're going to take a hit. And he'd be like, okay, you know. It was like just a total opposite of what the big labels.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know,
if he liked it, it was put out.
Sanhedrin record. So kudos to that.
I also really, I love the song Lost at Sea. It almost sounds like a bard or like an epic tale. And then I saw the video. It was really good. Where did you shoot that? In a theater?
That is a theater that Nate is the head of audio at in in Brooklyn. So it's the King's Theater on Flatbush Avenue, and there have been some great shows there. I mean, they just had Emperor play there, and we had Merciful Fate there and King Diamond. I mean, definitely some great shows, but that building was one of 5 Lowe's theaters that were built in like 1929 around the 5 boroughs. And they were all like super ornate, beautiful theaters that in the 80s, I think all of them went into decay. And this one was closed from probably, I think, maybe 80 to 2015. So 35 years. Yeah, so it was a mess, and they went in and spent $94 million on a reno. But fast forward, Nate's the head of audio, and they gave us a killer deal, and we went in there and, barnstormed the place and did the whole thing in 12 hours. And yeah.
Yeah. I love all the close-ups, like the gargoyles and the faces in the stone. It's wild.
Yeah. There's a lot of that.
Hey, remember when they used to have that big picture of Ace Frehley at Grand Central Station? You remember that?
Oh,
It was up.
when did
It was in the train station. They had that picture of Ace Frehley.
Way. Really?
Yeah,
What?
and well, I used to meet friends there. We'd meet under Ace Frehley,
Oh
and
my
then they fucking changed it to Billy Joel.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. Billy Joel is like
I thought you might remember because you're such a New Yorker. I thought you might remember.
New York. It's kind of a bummer, but it's what it is.
All right, so we play a little game. It's called 5 Random Questions, but you're going to pick what questions you answer. I have questions numbered from 1 to 100, so I want you to give me 5 numbers.
Okay. From 1 to 100?
Yeah.
Okay. 88, 72, 47, 35, and 1.
We'll start with 88. I like that year.
Oh, I like this.
88. Would you prefer to go to a beach or a mountain for vacation?
Mountain.
I figured that one with your cabin.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need shade.
Yeah, you wanna give me both. 72. Would you rather eat M&Ms, popcorn, or the two of them mixed together?
At this point in my life, I think I would rather eat M&Ms.
With you there.
Such an introspective answer to it.
It's always my late night go
At this
to.
point in my life, I will say.
Yeah. In my dental health.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
47. If you could be a fictional character from any book, who would you be?
Okay. I think I'd want to be the protagonist in and hold on, I gotta find her name.
Okay.
In The Parable of the Sower. Have you guys read that book?
The Parable of the Sower?
Yeah, The Parable of the Sower is like where I don't know. It's some pretty prophetic shit written by Octavia Butler.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, I actually think it takes place in 2024, possibly. It was written probably in the 70s, but yeah, I recommend it.
That's cool. We'll have to check it out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my daughter and I always are trading good books.
Oh yeah, so Parable of the Sower, especially right now, because there's so much change going on in the world, on the planet. It is just okay. So The protagonist is Lauren Oya Olamina.
Okay.
And I think I'd want to be her because she
Awesome. I'm definitely checking that one out.
how to survive in a really crazy time.
That's so cool.
All right, number 35. Would you ever consider skydiving?
No.
That's funny.
I always look at if they had the ones in Las Vegas where they strap you to them so you have no choice. I'm like, I just pee all over the guy and
There's 1,000 ways to fuck yourself up, and I'm just no.
I know, right?
It's probably really expensive, and there's a bunch of stuff that I want to do more than that. How about that?
All right, number 1. What outfit have you worn in the past you would not wear today?
Well, that's a funny question for me because I have clothes that I've held on to since the 80s.
Me
that
too.
are coming back around, So I would have to say I'm gonna have to go back to like the 70s, and I'm gonna say that my Gloria Vanderbilt Vidal Sassoon era, I wouldn't go back there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're like Stace, like you still fit into those clothes, so that's a good thing, right? Yeah. Most women do not.
One leg would fit in to both legs. No,
That's funny.
That's-
So, all right. So, since you're a New Yorker, do you have any stories of like, the bumping into the New York rock,
God.
intelligent, Blue Oyster Cult, Manowar, John Belushi, Kiss, whatever. You have any stories from bumping into the?
One time I got to mix a really cool show. It was Dennis Dunaway, Alan Bouchard, and Neil Smith. So it was
Dennis Dunaway's Alice Cooper, right?
and Neil Smith is Alice Cooper. So
Okay.
Dennis Dunaway was bass for our, $1 billion babies and
Oh wow.
beyond, but as was Neil Smith, and then John Bouchard. Yeah, I think John Bouchard was playing guitar. So they were doing as a 3-piece Blue Oyster Cult and Alice Cooper songs. And it was awesome because Albert Bouchard was in the audience heckling the whole fucking time. It was pretty amazing. It was just like the funnest gig I think I've ever
How great was the Blue Oyster Cult? Everybody in the band could play like everything. It's crazy.
Yeah.
How many guitarists do you have? Everybody. It's like wow.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
I always thought that your vocal style was kind of like a little bit of a snarl to it, kind of but it has like layers of depth and emotion. Who do you most hear that people compare you to vocally, and do you agree or disagree?
Jeff Tate. And
I compared you to Jeff Tate.
Yeah.
I've done it.
And
I wrote a review of
super familiar. Like I know Queensryche and I know, Operation Mindcrime and all of that. And I mean I could see it. But that's the one.
I think there's one song in the Poisoner where I thought you really sounded like him, and I compared you to him. Yeah.
But he just, just so everybody knows, like I did not come up like studying Jeff Tate.
Right.
It's just a pure coincidence that happened.
Yeah, I work at a doctor's office, and a couple of these old patients always tell me I look like the local news traffic person, and they always go, "What's the traffic like?" I'm like, all right, just shut up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I am not trying to be like Jeff Tate.
No, I definitely think you have.
But I
your own
appreciate
style.
his vocals. I mean, definitely a talented motherfucker.
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, I mean they were
The Keep It True that we just did, he headlined the third night, and it was pretty magical.
really with his band he did.
Yeah, it was pretty
That's good
tight.
because he doesn't get a lot of respect online anymore. I mean, all those bad Queensryche albums. Yeah, he doesn't.
Oh yeah, no, I mean he still has his range, and
That's great.
It
was a shame what happened to them. Yeah.
I don't, like I said, I don't know a lot about the band. We played with the current lineup of
Right.
the headband.
Basically, they were great in the '80s, and then they made like 8 million bad records, and then they had a gig where they realized that they needed to break up because Jeff Tate's family was like running everything, like all the merch sales, all the ticket sales, everything. And there
Okay.
was like everybody else in the '80s, there's a huge lawsuit, and eventually it ended up splitting. So
They were from Seattle.
Seattle.
Right? Yeah. I'm excited about the Metal Church reunion. Did you guys
Speaking of Seattle,
did you see their tour or?
I haven't been to see them. No, I saw them in 1987 with Anthrax. Yeah, on the tour for the second album is great. They're amazing. Yeah, they were so hungry.
Mm-hmm.
It's great seeing them in like a small club. It was great.
Yeah.
What do you think of John moving to Montana?
It's weird. I mean, I've had a couple of friends who have really sort of flipped the script on their lives in that way, where they were very urban people, and then they moved out there to the wilderness and started loving it. And I think it's great.
He's so happy.
I think anybody that can connect with nature like that is lucky. If it keeps your interest to, live out there and commune with nature, do stuff. I think it's really probably good for most human.
Yeah.
Well, of course, we connected with you during the Terra Hunter tour, but I also saw before that you did a big European. How was that? Was it crazy? Are they really dying for shows?
It was fun. We have been lucky enough to go to Europe a bunch of times in the short time that we've been putting records out on labels anyway. So, with the exception of the 2.5 years of pandemic, 2019, I think we went 3 times. And 2022, we went once. 23, we went twice. There's a little bit more money for the arts over there, so you tend to get treated a little better in terms of like lodging and food, that kind of thing. Is sort of a built-in. And on this tour, we were with a fucking killer band. We got to tour with Ross the Boss.
Oh my
and
God.
His fucking band that included some real killers, man. I mean, Mark Lopes, who is now singing in Metal Church, and Sean Engel, who is the drummer for KK's Priest. I mean, there were some real killers. Kirk Schlechter, who was in Gamma Ray.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was
Ross the Boss, there's your connection to the New York Illuminati right there. Man,
absolutely.
fucking
I mean,
dictators.
Ross is like, wow, and look
any better than that.
Apparently the Dictators are coming out with a new record.
Oh my God,
songs, and
I'm gonna have a heart attack.
It sounds fucking great. Yeah.
They were punk
cool
before
guy.
the Ramones.
I know.
It's crazy. I mean, yeah.
And we had a really nice time. And he looked out for us as, an opening band. We were support, and then there was a band called Savage Existence from Costa Rica who were opening. It was a weird package. But we made it work, and we actually made like some solid friendships. So that was really
Yeah, there's live shows from the Dictators from the early days on YouTube. Some of it's just audio, but the shows are so good, and they clearly have no songs. It's just him fucking around and abusing the audience, and then they'll play a cover, and then he'll make fun of the band. It's awesome.
For which one? Which band?
It's Dictators, but it's like 1975 before they wrote any songs. And it's like, I'm listening to it and I'm like, I think I'd be pissed if I paid the cover to see this band, but they're pulling it off. They're doing like comedy and covers and stuff. It's great.
Yeah.
It's all shtick. Yeah.
Well, but I will say that the new record is some pure high energy rock and roll.
That's
shit.
great. Yeah.
You know?
I can't wait to hear it. I never met a Dictators record I didn't like.
By, people who are definitely AARP recipients.
Oh.
I mean, really the best of the best. Yeah.
AARP recipients.
Yeah.
So what's coming up next for you guys? Do you have any plans in the works or taking a breath?
We're gonna play on the 20th of August. We're playing with Night Demon and Sierra Thumble at the Poisson Rouge, which is a place in the West Village of New York City. So that'll be cool.
Yeah, really cool.
There's a really bitchin' flyer circulating for it. There is a killer tattoo artist from Providence, Rhode Island that made it. I can't remember her name, but yeah, so that's a show coming up. And then and I guess I'm going to reveal this on your show. We're going to go to Texas
Drum
in
roll, please.
December.
All right.
And we're going to play a few shows with our friends in Temple of Love. And Texas is, I think November 30th, December 1st and 2nd. So Austin, San Antonio, Houston, look out.
All right. Yeah.
Well, we'll have you back anytime.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much.
I just want you to know you're for me, you're part of the rock goddess triumvirate. There's Wendy O. Williams, there's Chrissy Hind, and there's Erica Stolz. So there you go.
There's the top three.
There you go.
I'll take it. Thank you.
Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Falling on deaf ears.
Okay, Deaf Ears 1 is From Ashes to New, and the album is Blackout.
Bring on the blend.
Yes.
Any listener will surely draw comparisons to Linkin Park at first listen, but Lancaster, PA, From Ashes to New has a lot going on in their secret sauce.
And it's not Amishness.
They throw in industrial, rap rock, and nu metal in a ferocious blend. Mainstay and rap vocalist keyboard player Matt Brandyberry, which I love that name, takes the lead on cuts like Heartache and Monster in Me. There may be an Eminem influence to his rap style, but there is no vomit on the sweaters or baby mama drama in these lyrics. Add in the nu metal style drums of Matt Maduro and in-your-face lead guitar of Lance Dowdle, and it's a whole powerful taste of their own that they have going on here.
And the drummer's name is Abraham Weinstein, right? No, not Amish.
No,
Sorry,
no.
My bad. Other tracks like Nightmare, what we're going to play for in a minute, showcase co-vocalist Danny Case full of anger and angst, screaming, "It comes in waves. You are everything that I hate. You try to drag me down. I'll cut you out." Imagine Danny yelling from the edge of a bombed-out building while his bandmates play on as everything burns. Yeah, that actually is the official video, and it's perfect. There are more hooks here than Bass Pro Shop, both in vocals and riffs.
The sing-song melody coupled with such dark lyrics in I Hope You Are Happy. Like, should I sing a happy song with a noose around my neck? Apologize for bleeding when you stab me in the back. The toxic is palpable.
Yeah.
There are those genre obedient moments where everything drops with the synthesizer and some softer vocals, then a pause, and you know the guitar and drums are going to come crashing back. And when they do, it makes you want to cheer. It's like when the superhero arrives to save the day like you knew he would, but you still go nuts. And there are screams thrown in for poignant moments by both vocalists to melt eyebrows everywhere.
From Ashes to New have had prior successes, and they had to reinvent the band after lineup changes. But this time, I think they've caught fire to stay. So this is Nightmare.
All right, this is Deaf Ears 2, Mutoid Man. Mutants.
This is really good. Yeah.
It's been 10 plus years of basically kicking cosmic ass for New York City metal trio Mutoid Man. Mutants is the band's fourth full length, and it's 38 minutes of distinctive, intense heavy metal packed with meaty riffs, impressive drumming, and innovative, clean vocals from singer-guitarist and metalcore legend Steve Brodsky.
It's mixed by Kurt Ballou. The last album, Warmoons, had special guests like Marty Friedman, Adam McGrath from Cave In, and a couple of the guys from Converge. Mutants grooves hard from front to back. Fans of power trios will just drool over the taut, vibrant bass and guitar interplay between Brodsky and bass player Jeff Matz. There's kind of a last crack vibe, kind of weirdness to the band. It could be the scrunky riffing or lyrics like rabbit holes, rabid souls digging through my dirt.
Like Dirt Messiah.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't be fooled by the moniker or the neon green logo. This is serious headbanging stuff with highly introspective lyrics. There's a little Fu Manchu influence in the guitar tones. Drummer Ben Crowler's rolling toms and broken glass ceilings sound fantastic. I like the way Brodsky goes with the gruffer vocals in the second half of the song. That bass line starts off Graveyard Love, kicks so much ass when Brodsky's garage punk arpeggios drift in. The song takes on a Dead Kennedys vibe, like something from Plastic Surgery Disasters played by Motorhead.
Yeah.
Finally, the riff that kicks off Unborn is beyond huge. Then they settle into maybe the best groove on the record.
Yeah, there's this weird little notation on the Metal Archives. The band was accepted into the Metal Archives based on the album Mutants. I don't understand because I went back and listened to the old stuff. It all kicks ass. So hard for me to imagine what the pencil necks over there took 4 albums to realize that the band is a metal band, but whatever. At any rate, the swirled green vinyl of Mutants is calling our name. So get over to the band's official site and grab them before they're gone.
Also, check out the video to this song.
Oh, really cool with the
They you could tell, from their social media, they definitely have a sense of humor. And this video features them as an AI band playing.
Yeah. It's a social commentary.
And during the song, they slowly kind of degenerate into zombie AI creatures.
You got to hang in there.
Slowly fall apart.
Yeah, it's cool. So this is Call of the Void.
Deaf Ears 3. This is Scold, 7 Heads. Announcing the return of our pasty-faced messiah of all things sleazy and electronic, Tim Scold. Highly prolific and never short on punk, sneer, or hostile lyrics. Scold has been the secret sauce behind dozens of releases, from KM, FDM, to Shaka Messiah, to Marilyn Manson. 7 Heads is his 8th full-length solo album, and we should really emphasize the word solo, as the album has no other credits besides Mr. Happy himself. Of course, this makes the record even more impressive.
Yeah, the performances are emotionally charged, the songs are hooky and bleak, and the production is immaculate. Styles range from uber danceable rave fare to finger in the air cyberpunk anthems to dark synth pop adjacent cocktails and everything in between.
The man may be older, but he's not lost his disgust for humanity. The tight KM FDM informed rocker, FU is pure steamrolling industrial metal that doesn't mince words with the chorus, I hate your stupid fucking face and you hate me too. There are several slower numbers on the album, but they are still laced with venom.
The mellower stuff like Better Luck Next Life gives us a glimpse of what maybe GNR or Buck Cherry would have sounded like if they'd gone industrial for an album or two. But of course, it's the hard-charging scold fare that steals the show, like the riffy My Addiction and the album's tour de force, the one we're going to play for you now, I'm Still Right, which floats up an immaculate scold bass line and offers the chorus, it doesn't matter how angry you get, I'm still right. It's a fascinating artist whose involvement in any project piques my personal interest. Welcome back, Tim Scold. This is I'm Still Right. Well, this was a good one. Yeah. We talked about dousing yourself in deer piss. That was fun. Yeah.
And the way the mosquitoes are out of control this year. I think they should start working for LabCorp.
We learned about happiness through ice cream. Yeah. And how is the popping out of cake market doing these days? Yeah.
This has been the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast. Special thanks to the lovely Erica Stolz of Sanhedrin for appearing on the show. We look forward to hanging out with her again sometime soon. Thanks to David the Charmery for the super fun visit and also an education in reggae. Who knew? Snaggletooth theme by Jens Kemgren of the Firebombs. Deaf Ears theme by Tim Green of the Fucking Champs. Season 3 art, you can find him on Instagram. It's KC Angel is our wonderful artist. Deaf Ears bands include Scold, Mutoid Man, and From Ashes to New. All content 2023, the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast.
Happy birthday, my son, even though you're an asshole.
This is the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast.